Welcome to Chris's Storytelling Corner. My name is Christopher Moldong, and I am an author specializing in the fantasy genre. Today I will do manga reviews for Negima volumes 5 through 8. Next week I will review volumes 9 to 12. Also, check out my reading of The Master Prince and the Condiment Kingdom. You can check out my author's website at www.chrismoldon.com. If you have an e-reader, you can buy my works on Amazon.com or a PDF copy on my website, starting with my first novel, a fantasy adventure called The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom for $4.99. A lot of that story is using ideas from anime and manga. Also, for $1.99, you can buy my short stories and short story collections, starting with the fantasy horror short story, The Land of the Wooden Statues. Then there's the Horror Collection, which is a compilation of 3 of my gothic horror short stories, and the Fantasy Fable Collection, which is a compilation of 4 of my Fantasy Fable short stories. You can also check out my Twitter page and author's Facebook page. Links to all these will be provided on the description. So let's just get right to it. We're going to start with Negima Volume 5. The way I've worked this is that I'll do a recap, a pretty detailed recap of the volume itself, and then give my thoughts on said volume, then go to the next volume, and so on and so on. So, Volume 5 starts out with Asakura and Chamo research prospects to make probationary contracts with. Negi tells Setsuna and Asuna that Asakura found out that he's a wizard. Asakura, though, gives Negi back the photo evidence that shows that he's a wizard. So at night, Asakura comes to a group of Class 3A students with a game called Lip Scramble. Operation Kiss Negi-kun passionately on this school field trip. They break into 5 different groups of 2. Chamo has set a magic circle all over the inn to make the probationary contract. Um, so, I believe it's Setsuna gives Negi a bunch of paper doubles, and then when Negi tries to use them, he messes up their names, and they become like these dumbed down versions of Negi. Nodoka ends up kissing the real Negi and accidentally making a probationary contract with him. 6 others kiss the fake Negis, and they make these botched like pack deal cards. So after all that happens, Chamo speaks with Asuna, Asakura, Negi, and Setsuna about the pack deal cards. Pretty much it works like if the partner says Adi, it can unleash an artifact. Asuna says it and unleashes a Harrison fan. Nodoka watches all of this, kind of secretly. Nodoka then says Adi and unleashes her artifact, which is a mysterious book that can reveal the thoughts of people. As everyone does their free activity, Negi sneaks out to deliver the letter to the Magic Association there, and we'll meet with Asuna. Finds Asuna, but she is with Konoka, Setsuna, Yui, Nodoka, and Haruna. And they all travel together. They go to an arcade. Negi plays against a kid his own age, and the kid wins and runs off. Negi, Chamo, and Asuna ditch everyone at the arcade. And that kid who ran off runs into the monkey woman who has been pretty much after them this whole trip. And she knows that Negi is the son of the Southern Master. It looks like the monkey woman is with a boy, a monster, Tsukiyomi, and this other boy, this white-haired boy. Nodoka, holding the book, that her artifact, sees Negi running off with Asuna. And they reach the front of the shrine that they're supposed to go to. And a mini Setsuna appears before them and tells them to be careful. They run inside, but the stone stairs they keep running up seems to go on forever. They try to escape through a bamboo forest to the sides of them, but just leads them back to where they came from. Then Mini Setsuna tells them that it's the magic art of the never-ending place, and that they're trapped within these 1,000 Shinto gates. Nodoka follows him in, and from the book finds out that Negi is in trouble. Mini Setsuna talks to Negi and Asuna about chi versus the use of magic. With the magic user, the magic power provided by the wizard increases the partner's physical ability. It is revealed that Negi can only use 9 kinds of combat magic, and that Negi himself taught himself those battle spells. Negi then wonders if he can loan himself magic, similar to how he loans magic to Asuna. Apparently, he's actually been doing that already with how he runs and whatnot. A spider demon with the boy from the arcade crashes down in front of them. And back at the arcade, Tsukiyomi is following Setsuna and Kanoka. Back with Negi, him and Asuna fight against the boy from the arcade and the spider demon. They think he's a sorcerer. It turns out he's not. And he fights them barehanded. Negi and Asuna retreat. The boy runs into Nodoka, who went into the Shinto gates, but doesn't know that she's allied with Negi, and he tells her to leave because there's a fight going on. She gets his name, it's Kotaro Inugami. Negi and Asuma come back to fight. Kotaro is apparently a master of dog gods and gets the better of the two. Then Negi loans himself magic, and then he gets the better of Kotaro, and then Kotaro turns into a beast. Nodoka appears and helps Negi by telling him Kotaro's moves beforehand using the book. She then tricks Kotaro into revealing the way to escape the place, and then they escape, and then Kotaro's then stuck in the never-ending place. Mini Setsuna disappears, and they worry that something happened to the real Setsuna. So Setsuna, Kanoka, Haruna, and Yue are running away. They end up in Cinema Village, and Setsuna and Kanoka separate from the two. At Cinema Village, Tsukiyomi then challenges Setsuna to a final battle. With a group of students from Class 3 and a mini Negi, they go with Setsuna and Kanoka to face Tsukiyomi. Tsukiyomi sends out little demons while she fights Setsuna one-on-one. The rest of the class fights those little demons. And then the mini Negi becomes a ninja and helps Kanoka escape. So they're on a rooftop. They run into the monkey woman and a giant demon who is equipped with a bow and arrow appear, and along with this other white-haired boy. The demon shoots at Kanoka, and Setsuna gets in front of her and gets hit with the arrow. Setsuna falls off the roof, and Kanoka dives down to save her. A flash of light appears, and they land on the ground safely, with Kanoka holding Setsuna, and Setsuna's wound healed. Kanoka obviously used her latent power. So at the end of the volume, Setsuna tells Kanoka that they are headed to Kanoka's parents' house, and that they'll meet up with Asuna and everyone else there. So some thoughts. The lip scramble thing was kind of fun. It was just really funny to see these dumbed down Negis, in a sense, tricking these girls and making the game more fun. Obviously it led to Nodoka getting a Pacto card and her artifact with it, which makes Nodoka seemingly really important to the story and just not someone who Negi likes. If she was helping him out in the battle, who knows what else she'll be able to do moving forward. But she's now a part of the world. I thought Kotaro was a pretty neat antagonist. I don't really know his motivations right now. He's pretty strong, though something of a challenge for Negi at this point. But it does seem like Negi has gotten something of a power-up. Now he can loan himself magic and become quite powerful himself. Excuse me. Setsuna and Tsukiyomi, they have an interesting dynamic. I can't really tell if it's some weird fascination or fanaticism that Tsukiyomi has with Setsuna. She keeps wanting to chase her down and whatnot. The whole thing with Cinema Village was really creative in the sense of just making it seem like this was all staged when it really wasn't. I thought that was pretty cool. Setsuna. Setsuna herself's getting to be a more fun and just interesting character as well. A little more open. Kind of know her motivations. Like, she's quite fond of Konoka and wants to protect her and whatnot. And, she's just kind of uh, being less introverted, I guess, as it's moving on. So she's actually growing as a character. Kanoka, now that she has powers too, she seems like she'll be a much bigger player. Um, she seems to have some. She seems to go more towards healing. It seems like, but we'll see. And it looks like the villains look like they're assembling for something big. I mean, you have like the monkey woman, Kotaro, the white-haired boy, and like all the demons that they have with them. So it's like we're not done with them yet. So on to Volume 6. They all head to Kanoka's parents' house, and when they get there, Kanoka is greeted by house servants. Setsun reveals that Kanoka's home is also the head temple of the Kansai Magic Association, and we are introduced to the elder of the Kansai Magic Association, who turns out to be Kanoka's father. Negi gives him the leather, and his mission is over. They then party at Kanoka's house. Kanoka's father reveals that he knows that his daughter used magic, and he's fine with it. So, he also tells Negi that the monkey lady is named Chigusa Amagasaki, and that she wants Kanoka as a trump card. She has a grudge against the Magi of the West. He tells Negi that Kanoka has strong, dormant magical powers that may be stronger than the Thousand Master. He also tells him that his father, the Thousand Master, is one of his oldest friends. So at night, Asuna and Kanoka go outside to talk with Setsuna. Chigusa and the mysterious boy with the white hair wait outside of the temple, and then he says that he will take care of like getting in the temple and doing whatever they need to do. As Asuna and Kanoka walk about, they see stone statues in a room, and then elsewhere in the temple, Negi hears a scream, goes into the room, and sees his students turn to stone, and it turns out to be a high-level spell called Petrifaction. I think it may have actually been spelled wrong. It should be Petrification. We'll call it Petrifaction for now. Negi uses the Pactio card to tell Asuna to regroup and meet him in the baths. Negi runs into Setsuna, and they see Kanoka's father, and he is slowly turning to stone. He warns them of the white-haired youth and tells them that his power is extreme. Before Kanoka's father turns to stone, he tells them to contact the headmaster and to take care of Kanoka. Meanwhile, Yui is in a forest running away. In a flashback, she managed to run away while her friends got turned to stone. Excuse me. Yui calls Kaede for help, like on like a cell phone, who is with Kufei and Mana Tatsumiya. Negi calls the headmaster for help, and as he's asking for help, he's playing Go with someone, but tells him that there isn't anyone at the moment to help. It turns out that he was playing Go with Evangeline, with Chachimaru kind of in the background. The white-haired boy attacks Asuna and Kanoka and tries to use the petrifaction magic on Asuna, but it just turns her clothes into stone. He manages to capture Kanoka and inquires that Asuna nullified the spell without the use of her artifact. Negi and Setsuna go to where Asuna is, and white-haired boy attacks them. He then retreats. Shamo then tells him that Setsuna should make a probationary contract with Negi to boost her power. Asuna, Negi, and Setsuna chase after Chigusa and her group and they actually catch up to her. So using Kanoka's power, Chigusa summons a small army of demons, mainly ogres, and also like the bird tribe apparently. Chigusa and her group escape with Kanoka to an altar in the middle of a lake. At the start of the battle, Setsuna and Negi make a pactio. Negi flies away while Setsuna and Asuna fight the demons. So at the altar, Chigusa plans to use Kanoka's power to summon an extra giant ogre that cannot be controlled. But she's going to use Kanoka's power to control it. Negi sees the altar where everyone is, but gets knocked off his wand in midair by an Inugami. Kataro appears to fight against Negi, and as Asuna and Setsuna fight against the demons, they do pretty well, but they get attacked by the bird tribe, who are pretty strong. While fighting the bird tribe, Tsukuyomi appears, and then a sniper rifle then points towards the battle. Negi and Kotaro fight, but a giant shuriken gets thrown between them. Kotaro gets attacked, and it is Kaede who attacked him, the ninja. And Yue is actually kind of watching in the background. Bullets start back in the battle with Setsuna and Asuna versus the demons. Bullets start to hit the demons that they're fighting, and they are being shot by Mana Tatsumiya, who's also with Kufei. Mana and Setsuna seem to actually know each other. Kaede deals with Kotaro while Negi runs off to help Kanoka. The demons close in on Mana and Ku, so Mana gets out handguns to fight them and gets the better of them. Setsuna tells Asuna that she has worked with Mana before. And then Ku also gets into battle as well. She has she's really good with like kung fu and whatnot. And then Yui watches on as Kaede and Kotaro fight. Yui is not a part of this world yet, but obviously, she's like watching this like crazy stuff happen. Negi tries to stop Chigusa. He fights against a white-haired boy and uses a delayed spell to tie him up. Kanoka and Chigusa, though, are not at the altar. Meanwhile, Kaede does defeat Kotaro. Chigusa is somewhere else. She summons the giant ogre, Ryomen Sukuna no Kami, and floats next to it with an unconscious Kanoka. Then the white-haired boy breaks free from the delayed spell. Setsuna and Asuna escape their battle with the demons and Tsukuyomi to help Negi, while Mana and Ku fight against the demons and Tsukuyomi. So using the Pactio cards, Negi transports Asuna and Setsuna to where he is. The white-haired boy casts a spell, and it grazes Negi's hand while the other two avoid it. With Chigusa and Kanoka on the giant ogre's shoulder, Setsuna reveals that her secret and produces white wings on her back, and reveals that it's her true form, and flies to save Kanoka. Negi, Chamo, and Asuna hear Evangeline's voice. She tells Negi that if he can hang on for 90 seconds, she'll come and help. So, Negi and Asuna fight the white-haired boy. Asuna breaks his barrier with the Harrison, and Negi lands a punch on his face. He's never been hit before. Meanwhile, Setsuna manages to rescue Kanoka. Kanoka says that Setsuna looks like an angel. Fate is surprised that he got hit clean by Negi before he could strike back at him. Evangeline appears from a shadow and fights against him. Chachamaru, who is flying overhead with a large railgun, fires it at the giant ogre to bind it for 10 seconds. Evangeline uses ice magic to destroy the giant ogre. So with the battle seemingly over, the demons fighting Ku and Mana retreat along with Tsukuyomi. The white-haired boy appears out of a puddle of water. Negi sees him and he tries to attack Evangeline, but Negi actually tries to protect her. So yeah, the white-haired boy uses magic to summon these giant spikes. One stabs Evangeline through the stomach. Seemingly has no effect on her, and she fights back. However, he retreats. Negi collapses on the ground as the right half of his body is petrified. Kanoka makes a pact deal with Negi, and that's what heals him. Chigusa tries to run away, but Chachazero comes with a sword and apparently defeats her. Negi and a small group of students, along with Evangeline and Chachamaru, meet up with Kanoka's father. His name is Kanoe Aishun. Aishun tells Evangeline that they have released Sukuna, the giant ogre, and that the white-haired boy's name is Fate Avarunkus. Aishun takes him to the house where Negi's father, Nagi, stayed, and he shows Negi and some of the students a picture of him when he was longer, along with Nagi and some others. He then tells them that he was a comrade in arms with Nagi. Asuna looks at the picture and seems to know something about it. Yui listens in on Aishin's conversation as he talks about the Great War and fighting alongside Nagi. He tells him that 10 years ago, Nagi disappeared, and Nagi was officially listed as passing away in 1993, but no one knows where he went. Then Aishin gives him something. At the end of the volume, Class 3A is sleeping on the train back to Mahara. So, that was a there was a lot that happened in that volume. I mean, like even just saying it's one of the more busier volumes. Um, this was the height of the Kyoto story arc. The battles were just epic, grand powers. You see Evangeline using ice. You seen the Fate Avaruncus using like the stone spells and having magic barriers, giant monsters. Stakes are super high. You got this like giant ogre that's kind of like I don't know terrorize the place. Um, Kanoka prisoner. And whatnot. Super powerful characters fighting each other. Fate Avaruncus versus Evangeline. Um, you know, yeah, and Fate Avaruncus versus Evangeline was really cool. He didn't get killed, so I actually kind of wonder what happens to him. He just kind of retreats. Evangeline is even stronger than what she showed when she fought Negi. I mean, she described herself as like a living cheat code that you'd see in a video game. And she got stabbed with that spike, and I gotta agree. It looks like she can't die anytime soon. The stuff with Mana, Kufe, and Kaede fighting was also just really cool. I mean, those were mainly Goon Squad guys, the demons that they're fighting. But it was just cool to see Mana going all like gun kata on everyone. Ku was able to fight, and then Kaede was fighting Kotaro, and she beat him quite easily actually. Mana with the guns was particularly neat. I like Kaede. She's a ninja. She beat Kotaro quite easily. I think she made it. She said that she might at this time be stronger than Negi. Just at this time though. Setsuna having wings. Like everyone's showing these like superpowers and abilities. Setsuna has wings. She's also not giving Kanoka the cold shoulder anymore. That's just really nice. Um, Obviously, with the end of the volume with Asuna looking at the picture, there's obviously something more with Asuna than meets the eye. Um, she's not just a student. She nullified magic without the use of her artifact. There's something about her that is important. Yui looks like she's going to be part of the group who knows about magic now too, as she was just watching everything happen firsthand. And it looks like more and more students, Mana is now a part of it, Ku is a part of it now, are getting involved with Negi's like magical world and whatnot. Kanoka's there, Setsuna, Asuna, Kaede. There also, at this point, there seems to be some sort of like tiering system as far as how powerful some of the characters are. You know, Kaede seems really strong. Setsuna seems really strong. Negi's like trying to get stronger. Evangeline and Fate Avaruncus are like super strong, and so on and so on. Um, so Negi is getting stronger, and his partnership with the other characters makes him more formidable too. There's a lot of characters being involved now that each have like different abilities, and then Negi himself is, a magician. He's training and whatnot, so like it seems like he's just gonna get stronger and stronger as well. So on to volume 7. The volume starts with a dream with a young Asuna talking to a beat up looking old guy and Nagi. When Asuna wakes up, Negi shows her the present that Aishin gave him, which was a pile of maps of Mahora Academy. With Asuna, Negi goes to Evangeline's home to ask to be her disciple. She tells him to come back on Saturday to see if he's worthy of being her disciple. Asuna acts strange around Negi all day. Turns out she ate some chocolates that were actually a love potion. Next day before class, Nega and his group see Kufei fighting different guys and beating them using Chinese martial arts. And so in class, Negi asks Ku to speak with her after class. So there's some hijinks that happen and a bowling competition, all for so that Negi can ask Ku to teach him Chinese martial arts, and she agrees. The next morning, Makie sees Negi at the plaza practicing Chinese martial arts by himself. Evangeline and Chachamaru come by, and Evangeline tells Negi that in order for him to be her disciple, he has to fight Chachamaru and be able to land one blow on her. They're to meet at that plaza Sunday at noon. So Negi trains with Ku. It's revealed that Asuna is training kendo with Setsuna. Later, Negi fights Chachamaru for the disciple test. She gets the better of him the whole time. Seemingly distracted by Makie pleading with everyone not to stop the match, Negi lands a punch on Chachamaru. Evangeline then agrees to take Negi as her disciple. Next day, various students stop by Negi's room, including Chachamaru. Yue and Nodoka stop by and tell Asuna that they need to speak with Negi privately. Chachamaru overhears them. So at the library, they reveal that there was a clue within the map. And on the map, there's a drawing of where to find Nagi, and it was very obvious. Yue then confronts Negi about being a wizard and deduces that Evangeline, Kanoka, and the headmaster can all use magic. And then she asks if Negi can take them, her and Nodoka, with him to investigate the clue. Negi refuses and runs away. The next morning, Negi heads to the library island to pursue the clue, but Yue and Nodoka intercept him. They're really sleepy, but they just intercept him. So they then go to Library Island. They reach the bottom of Library Island to reach a door, but a dragon guards it. So they try and they can't fight the dragon. It's too powerful. So Chachamaru appears, flies in, and helps them escape. So Negi trains under Evangeline with the help of Asuna, Setsuna, Kanoka, Yue, Ku, and Nodoka. So Asuna and Negi have a fight as she found out that he went to Library Island without her. Evangeline talks to Kanoka and Negi alone. She tells Kanoki that if she desires it, Evangeline will instruct her in the ways of magic, and that becoming a Magister Magi would not be beyond her. Evangeline tells Negi that he has to choose on being a traditional mage or a combat mage. She reveals that his father was a combat mage. Negi tries to apologize to Asuna, but fails miserably. A few days later, Ayaka takes Negi to a private island. However, half of Class 3A is already there. And Asuna is just ignoring Negi. The class tries to help Negi to make up with Asuna. He gets attacked by two of his classmates disguised as sharks. Asuna helps him, and when she summons her artifact, a giant sword appears. It's not the Harrison, it's a sword. Nodoka and Yue ask if they can learn magic, and Yue asks to do a pact deal with Negi, even though she doesn't know what it is. So at the end of the volume, Negi and Asuna end up making up. So volume 7 is something of a transitional manga, the transitional volume. It looks like they're just building to something bigger at this point. It looks like Negi is just in pure training mode right now. You see him training with Ku, you see him training with Evangeline, and yeah, he's just in training mode. There's no big battles happening yet. It's all just building. A couple questions are being, presented to us. More specifically, what's behind that door? That the dragon is guarding. I mean, there's this giant door in the bottom of Library Island. A super powerful dragon is guarding it. Okay, what's there? There's also some character development going on between Negi and Asuna and their partnership. I gotta say though, it seemed that like Negi beat Chachimaru in their like fight due to the distraction. I mean, it's kind of like he didn't really do it by himself, but okay, whatever. And it looks like more characters, Ku, Yui, Nadoka, are just firmly entrenched into Negi's world. So, on to Volume 8. Volume starts with Negi fighting and training against Chachimaru and Evangeline and losing quite badly. So, Negi is tired and weary just throughout the day. He's teaching and he is just like, he can't even walk straight. He's like a zombie. Students who are aware of Negi being a wizard follow him to Evangeline's cabin but can't find him. But they do find this orb-shaped glass called Evangeline's Resort and get teleported. Elsewhere, Natsumi and Chizune from the class find a hurt dog on the street. Back inside of the glass, it turned out to be a resort that Evangeline created to train. Inside the resort, one cannot get out until 24 hours. Inside the resort, one whole day equals 1 hour in the outside world. So back at the dorm, the dog turns into its true form, which is Kotaro. So he's back. Kotaro apprehends Natsumi and threatens to attack her with his claws, but Chizune talks him out of it. He seemingly has lost his memory. Back at the resort, Negi teaches Nodoka, Yue, and Kanoka magic. That night at the resort, Negi tells Asuna the story of how he met the Thousand Masters 6 years ago. Back at the dorm, Kotaro says Negi in his sleep and mentions danger, and something that looks like a demon comes out of a puddle. Negi uses consciousness synchronization magic with Asuna to tell her about his past. Evangeline and Nodoka spy on them, and Evangeline tells Nodoka to use her artifact to find out what's going on. In the memory, Negi is with his cousin, and she tells him that his father died. We see a young Anya who was shown quite briefly at the very beginning of like the series, and she gives Negi a practice wand for beginners. We're introduced to an old wizard named Stan who does not speak well of Nagi. His cousin leaves to study, and Negi trains alone. The rest of the group then eavesdrops into the memory using Nodoka's artifact. So, in the memory, Negi is outside fishing, and when he comes back to the village, he sees the village burning and the townspeople turned into stone. Demons attack the village, and one tries to attack Negi, but Nagi comes out of nowhere and saves him. Nagi defeats many demons, but Negi just like runs away. Negi sees Stan almost turned completely to stone, while his cousin has her legs, just her legs so far turned to stone. Stan stops some demons and tells Negi to run away with his cousin. Stan then completely turns to stone. Nagi confronts Negi and gives him his wand. Negi's cousin's petrifaction is then halted. After that, Negi and his cousin are taken to a magician village in the deep hills of Wales. He studies hard, and that flashback ends right there, with him just studying non-stop. So, afterwards, everyone, including Evangeline, are just bawling. It's a real sad story. And they all agree to help Negi find his father after hearing that story. Ayaka, who lives with Chizune and Natsumi, meets with Kotaro by him headbutting her stomach. Chizune tells Ayaka that Kotaro is Natsume's younger brother. So in the vents of the dorm, three sludge-like monsters peek in on Kotaro and turn into three little girls. They mention using a magical confusion spell on him. They also say that Kotaro's special abilities are sealed, but he can still use chi. So a man in a torn up trench coat and hat is seen looking at the school. At a bath, the sludge demons take away Nodoka, Yue, Asakura, and Ku. Excuse me. As Katara, Ayake, Natsume, and Chizuna eat dinner at the dorm, an old man barges his way into the room looking for Kotaro. And then one of those sludge demons, disguised as Kanoka, takes Setsuna away. In the dorm with Natsume and Chizune watching, the old man attacks Kotaro, asking for the vessel. He tells him his true target is Negi. See, the old man introduces himself as Graf Wilhelm Joseph von Ehrman. Herman. I'll just call him Herman. Herman defeats Kotaro, and before he can come, Chizune slaps him and pretty much just stops him. And that stops him. Negi comes to the dorm and he sees Herman holding an unconscious Chizune. He tells Negi that he's collected 7 of his associates. He says that he'll wait for him at the stage beneath the giant tree and teleports away. Negi and Kotaro fly to the stage. Asuna is seen captive in chains. Setsuna is asleep and captive in this like round barrier. Chizune is in another barrier. Kanoka, Yue, Nodoka, Asakura, and Ku are all captive in their own barrier together. Herman tells Asuna that she and Negi are instrumental to his ongoing mission, and that he has a personal connection with Negi. The 3 like slime sludge girls attack Negi and Kotaro, but they defeat them pretty easily. They attack Herman, and Negi has the vessel and tries to use it, which is like this like bottle that I believe Stan had that can like seal demons. An amulet that Asuna is wearing gets activated, and the sealing spell doesn't work. Herman fights them, and magic doesn't seem to work on him. He tells them that Asuna has the ability to cancel magic without the use of an artifact. So we get that like confirmed. We already saw that when she fought Fate like against Fate Avaruncus. Now it's like pretty much confirmed. As they fight, Herman reveals himself as the demon who turned Negi's village into stone. They continue to fight, and 5 girls use magic to get out of the barrier. It turns out to be a water barrier. They seal the 3 slime girls in the vessel. Negi and Kotaro then defeat Herman as Evangeline watches on from afar. Herman, injured and lying on the ground, mentions that Negi knows 9 spells, and the 9th is a high-level ancient magic. He says that Kanoka may have the most sheer magical ability in the east and could cure the villagers turned to stone when she matures. Negi decides not to finish Herman off, and at the end of the volume, Negi decides to become a magic swordsman, just like his father. So Volume 8, one of the stronger volumes that gets into the background of Negi. He also had the epic battle with Herman. There's this part where like Stan just acts like he doesn't like him at all, and then like him like turning out that he cares for him. Just it was a really sad moment. It was really good. It's just that I thought that was really well done. Negi's story, his backstory is really sad, pretty dark too. Made him more sympathetic, but it's kind of cool because now you have like the reason for what he's doing and what he's reaching for. It's just like I want to catch up to my father and blah 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 blah. Find my father, blah 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 blah. It's like why? Oh, here's why. Okay, now we got it. Now we got the backstory. We got some of the pieces put together now. You have to wonder what happened to Negi's father, though. He just kind of left so suddenly, gave it, his son the wand, and, he's gone. The resort was a nice way to explain Negi getting better at fighting in a short period of time. Even if it's a bit too convenient, but it's like, what can they do? He's a teacher, so he has to do that, and then he has to train. And it's like, well, how do you reconcile the fact that there is not that much time in the day for him to do so much? It's like, okay, we'll use this resort as a way to make time go, I guess, slower, so that he can train and do what he needs to do in the real world. Looks like Kataro's back, and he looks like he's now one of the good guys. He seems to have something with Chizune and Natsume. Um, so I kind of wonder what's going to happen with him moving forward. He doesn't seem like the fact that he fought with Negi. I mean, it looks like he's going to stick around. It doesn't look like he's going to be a bad guy moving forward. And Herman was an interesting villain because he's actually this really nice guy. He was just like he said he's like kind of like a mercenary for hire, but he wasn't like evil per se. You know, um, he didn't just do things just for the sake of like being destructive or anything like that. Um, like Tsukiyomi seems to be that way, for example. The fight against Herman was really neat. I mean, it really made it seem like Negi and Kataro had to just go all out to defeat him. It's like he was getting the better of them. They can't even get like hits on him, so they had to go all out as to beat him. You know, Herman was like asking Negi, like, "Oh, why are you fighting?" You get on to philosophical stuff into like, "Why are you doing this?" And whatnot. Um, and once again, it looks like even more students of Negi will have some amount of power and helpfulness to Negi. So Natsumi seems to be a part of it now. Chizune is kind of in there too. So and just adding to the list of students. I mean, the way it looks like at this point, it looks like all the students will find out that like Negi's a wizard. Maybe they all have powers. I don't know, but more and more are building up. So that's all for today. Thank you for listening to these manga reviews. Next week, I will review volumes Negima volumes 9 through 12. Also, check out the free reading of the Mustard Prince in the Convent Kingdom. So, thank you, and until next time.